Just thinking a bit about language and speech, that very powerful door of expression that the Buddha talks about. Right speech, of course, being one of the factors of the Eightfold Path, and lots of attention being put on that in the community these days. We have a very fruitful, I assume fruitful, anyway, very at least useful class going on nonviolent communication with some of the members of the community. So putting attention on that door of outward expression in the realm of speech. Very useful to know some very helpful tools for communication and understanding in a community like this. And also thinking about tracing back speech to its formative patterns in the mind, in the heart, what's the Buddha calls the vaci sankhara, speech formation or speech fabrication, different kinds of ways of translating that, but essentially the process of thinking and considering, conceptualizing in some ways as well. Conceptualization is part of the process that occurs with the formation of thoughts, thinking, and how very powerful that process is too, for better or for worse. Ajahn Sumedho's fond of saying, just because you think it, you don't need to believe it. And all sorts of things pop into our head in forms in the realm of speech, and or in the realm of thinking, the precursor to speech. And it can be a very harmful process if it gets carried away and proliferation happens and we get wrapped up in our thinking process. Or it can be a very powerful tool if employed properly to delve more deeply into the heart, the mind, the citta. So a lot of it depends on, what's in charge in our thinking process, looking at the underlying tendencies, whether it's moods of desire or aversion, doubt. The whole thinking process gets stimulated by these underlying tendencies. And if they are strong, they act as reinforcements to those same underlying tendencies, those same obstructions in the mind. So I can't remember if it was Ajahn Sumedho or somewhere I heard that, somebody actually defined the quality of doubt, the hindrance of doubt, as just thinking too much. And you can see that kind of proliferative process go on and on and on and on and feed on itself through this constant process of essentially unwise attention into the conceptualization process. It's a very intellectual process, and we can get lost, particularly when it's informed by strong emotions like doubt or confusion, or desire or emotional states like longing or wanting, or looking for satisfaction in externals rather than in our own internal security, or anger. Any of those kinds of strong emotions can co-opt the thinking process and then use the thought formations as a tool for justification, avoidance, just not seeing clearly, and then that just contributes on and on and on to the cycle of reinforcing those emotional states. Or it can be co-opted by views and opinions. We have a strong feeling or a strong opinion about the way something should be, or the way, just an opinion of some sort or a view. And that thinking process gets taken over by that ditthi, that attachment to views and opinions. And we start to, if we've got a strong intellect or a keen intellect, we can, it can co-opt it to the into the process of just this constant rationalization and trying to figure everything out on a thinking level. which just reinforces our own views and opinions as we try and defend them or support them. So whether it's emotions or views, opinions, all of these underlying states can co-opt the thinking process. And then it often we become the hapless victim of this papancha, or proliferation, objectification, intellectualization, conceptualization, and we get lost in that world. That becomes our world. We can also use thinking skillfully. It can be used to great benefit to point our attention to deeper levels, to these actual underlying qualities that seem to take over when we don't want them to help illuminate them. And a lot of that is by, Ajahn Jeff has a whole book on skillful questions, about how to use questions skillfully, kind of an internal dialogue, which can then, of course, bleed into an external dialogue, skillful questions to people around us, but starting internally, using skillful questions to redirect our mind away from the defiled states that are underlying the speech or the thoughts, and into skillful forms of reflection. So, you get wrapped up in a concept or a thought or a view or a emotional state, a doubt, or an opinion, whatever, and then just see recognize, when you recognize you're getting lost in it, to just ask the question, what underlying state or what hindrance is talking now? And that turns your attention with a question back to a deeper state, a deeper understanding of what it is that's fueling the thought process that we take so much refuge in. And so just to start to tune into the underlying quality through a skillful question. What's the hindrance? What's the underlying state? Maybe to ask another skillful question along the lines of something like, well, what do I need to do now to feel more peaceful, to feel more settled? What do I need to think about now? What do I need to turn my attention now that will bring a sense of peace or relaxation or non-entanglement, and see what comes up. Maybe some old technique that you've picked up to help settle the mind, calm the mind, an image or a reflection or a thought of kindness. But just to start with that skillful question, what do I need right now to bring more peace inside? And that can then be used externally once internal furies are kind of settled. It can be used to also direct one's attention in the external world when one is communicating with other people. What's happening right now on an emotional level? Where is this conversation going? What's the hindrance that's underlying how this conversation is going? And what can I do to help lend towards more clarity and to more harmony, to more peace? And I find oftentimes the answer comes up is be quiet and just listen. And listen deeply to both what's going on inside and what's happening externally. That gives a sense of space and a sense of yourself being heard. Your underlying tendencies have a chance to actually be acknowledged. And also in the external world, it allows other people to enter into a space where they feel a little bit safer, maybe, if that quiet, silent, attentive listening is right there for them to move into. So, using skillful thoughts to create space and to help point the mind to a deeper, more meaningful level, which can then manifest in the world in our interpersonal interactions, can be a very useful tool of this very powerful process of thinking. So I'll just leave that there for this morning.